Hello, in this video we are going to be talking about Ketu. We already talked about the planet Rahu in our last video. Rahu, as we all know, is a shadow planet and Ketu is a shadow planet as well. And Rahu is a head, Ketu is a tail. If you go through my last video, it'll describe about the creation of Rahu and Ketu. So Ketu is again a part, the body of Swarbhanu, the Asura, and Ketu is a headless planet and it's a shadow planet just like Rahu, and extremely malefic, just like Rahu is, because it's part of the demon, the Asura, Swarbhanu, and it becomes extremely malefic. And like I had mentioned in my previous video, Rahu and Ketu positions in a birth chart are exactly the opposite, 180 degrees. So for example, if Rahu is in Aries, the opposite sign of Aries is Libra. So Ketu has to be positioned in Libra. And if Rahu is in Taurus, the opposite sign to that is Scorpio. So Ketu has to be positioned in Scorpio. Now, Ketu is a slightly different planet in terms of giving its effects or in terms of its significations. Just like Rahu is an extremely malefic planet, but it is associated with materialism. Ketu is also a malefic planet. However, it is not associated with materialism at all. It is associated with spiritualism. So when a dasha or a time period of Rahu falls, meaning as per our Vedic birth chart, if we come under the influence of Ketu, it is believed that people start to get more and more spiritual. Now here, spiritualism of Ketu is slightly different than the spiritualism of Jupiter. Jupiter is also a very spiritual planet. However, it is very sattvic in nature, very pure and sattvic. Here in Ketu's case, it is spiritual. However, it is tamasic in nature, meaning which the spiritualism associated with Ketu is more of healing in terms of tantrik healing, the use of mantras and tantric mantras in specific terms, psychic abilities, but those abilities, those spiritual powers are not as sattvic. It is more tamasic because, of course, as we all know, that Ketu is a part of that demon Swarbhanu. However, it is not as materialistic, or it is not at all materialistic. It is right the opposite of materialism. It is into spiritualism, opposite to what Rahu is all about. Now, like I mentioned, that it makes people under the influence of Ketu, and a good Ketu. What we are talking about here is people in whose chart Ketu is very auspiciously, I wouldn't say auspiciously, but very nicely placed. Because why I'm not using the word auspicious is normally auspicious is associated with the sattvic guna, and this is a tamasic guna. But anyways, if Ketu is placed in somebody's chart correctly or rightly, or in the right zodiac and the right sign, it makes them masters of healing arts, masters of tantra, masters of people who are capable of understanding the astral forces, understanding and to be able to control even evil spirits or ghosts, if we were to believe in them. So people with a strong Ketu and a nicely placed Ketu would give them that power, that healing power, that tantric abilities, the power of those tantric mantras, and they can use that very effectively because of this power which the divine had or has given to this planet Ketu. Ketu again is capable of causing eclipses just like Rahu is. So whenever it comes in conjunction or in an aspect, or when it gives an aspect to sun or moon, who are his sworn enemies, just like the sun and moon are sworn enemies of Rahu, it will cause an eclipse. An eclipse in a Vedic chart means it will create all kinds of problems related to that Vedic chart, that Vedic house where that planet which is coming under the influence of Ketu or Rahu are placed. So Ketu is similar in terms of providing eclipses and providing malefic influences, and when it comes in contact with specifically sun and moon, or Surya and Chandra, it causes eclipses. And when it comes with other planets like Jupiter, Moon, and Venus, who are benefics, it does provide have rather a very, very malefic influence. And more so, even if it comes in contact, just like Rahu, even if it comes in contact, or even if it aspects or it conjuncts a tamasic planet like Mars and Saturn, who are also malefics, it does have a very malefic influence on even Mars and Saturn, and they get afflicted pretty badly. And affliction means in a Vedic chart that then they start to give negative effects related to that particular house and zodiac and that particular signification of that planet. So pretty much all planets who come under the influence of Rahu and Ketu get affected in a very negative way. However, there are certain houses or zodiac where Ketu will give good results. I will not again say auspicious, because anything related to Rahu and Ketu cannot be auspicious. Good results means it can give benefits in terms of money, in terms of material wealth or comforts, or in terms of spiritual powers, but definitely not in a sattvic way. They will affect more so in providing good effects, in providing results like spiritual powers or material things, so on and so forth. Now Ketu also is explained as something which behaves like Mars, just like we discussed that there is a saying in Vedic astrology that Shanivat Rahu, meaning Shani behaves like Rahu. Similarly, there is another saying for Ketu which says that Kujavat Ketu. Now Kuja means Mars, so the saying means that Ketu behaves like Mars. Now some astrologers have explained that if Mars is good in somebody's chart, Ketu will be good in the same person's chart. Or if Mars is bad, then Ketu will also be bad. If Ketu is good, then Mars will also be good. However, this is not true. This does not mean that if Ketu, Kujavat Ketu does not mean that if Mars is good, Ketu will be good. If Mars is bad, Ketu will be bad. It just means that Ketu is going to be behaving like Mars. It behaves like Mars. It has the aggression of Mars. It has the firepower of Mars. It has the ambition of Mars. It behaves like Mars. And if it's destructive, it's almost as destructive, and its destructive capabilities are similar to that of Mars. Again, Ketu destroys the power of the planet which it is conjunct with, or if or the planet it's aspecting. It is extremely tamasic, very malefic, and it is powerful at night. Just like Rahu is very powerful at night, Ketu is also very powerful at night. It also has a color of gray, smoky, just like Rahu. Rahu is also associated with smoke, and some astrologers associate smoke with Ketu as well. However, certain astrologers feel that smoke is more closely associated with Rahu than Ketu. Ketu's color is described as gray, and its exaltation sign, as per Parashar, is Scorpio. Parashar has very clearly mentioned in his scriptures, in his book, in his teachings, that Ketu's exaltation sign is Scorpio. And it makes more sense because Scorpio is ruled by Mars, and the saying definitely is there that Kujavat Ketu means Mars, or Ketu behaves like Mars. So it makes more sense that Ketu's exaltation sign is Scorpio. However, there is a slight disagreement on this, just like we had a disagreement on Rahu's exaltation sign. We have a disagreement on Ketu's exaltation sign by some astrologers. Some astrologers believe that Ketu is exalted not in Scorpio but in Sagittarius. But in any case, in both these zodiac signs, Scorpio and Sagittarius, Ketu gives very, very strong effects. It becomes extremely powerful and gives its effects of exaltation. The gemstone of Ketu is cat's eye, and as per numerology, Ketu rules number 7. Now again, there's a slight disagreement on this as well, because some astrologers do not agree that Ketu rules number 7. However, a general agreement is that Ketu rules over number 7. No ancient Vedic scriptures have mentioned that Ketu rules over number 7. This is something which has been researched and and the recent astrologers have come to a conclusion that Ketu rules number 7. Some astrologers have associated lead to the planet Rahu, and a few astrologers also believe that lead can be associated with Ketu as well, but there's a slight disagreement on this. So we cannot say that the metal of Ketu is lead as well. But most certainly, one thing is in agreement, that Ketu means spiritualism, tantric healing, psychic capabilities. It's an extreme malefic, and it actually diminishes the power of the planet whom it's conjunct with, and thus it gives all kinds of effects, malefic effects related to that planet. And also, if it aspects either a benefic or a malefic planet, just like Mars and Saturn, it also afflicts them pretty badly. So that ends our discussion on Ketu, and we will be discussing more topics on astrology, Vedic astrology, in our future videos.